Hello everyone and welcome back to Real Chalk Reviews. This review is for the mid-season finale to Tyler Perry's Zatima. This is season 3, episode 10, Twin Flames. So we open up the episode exactly where we left off, with Zach wailing on Jeremiah. So as he's violently hitting him, he's telling him how much he hates him. He's been waiting to do that all his life. He's blaming him for Miss Gladys's death. He's punching, hitting, saying, "You've hit the only woman that I've ever loved." I don't know what hood dude is saying that in the middle of a fight, but we get it. He loves Fatima. But basically taking all his frustrations and anger out on Jeremiah in this moment. There are witnesses standing around in the neighborhood filming Zach on their cell phones as he's doing all of this. So Connie, Nate, and Tony, they go and try to break it up. Apparently, Zach is so angry he has the strength of about 30 men. He is tossing Nate and Tony like they're rag dolls. Connie, she jumps on his back like, "Get off of him," and he tosses her off of him like a piece of lint. Tony, he finally tackles him to the ground, and Nate comes over to help restrain him. So apparently Zach has a lot of resentment towards Jeremiah, going back as far as them being kids. Maybe Jeremiah was bullying him all the time, beating him up, making him do all kind of stuff, and now it's time for him to get his lick back. I think one of the biggest factors for Zach's anger right now is losing his mom and needing someone to blame. Now back at the end of season 2, when she first passed on, Jeremiah blamed Zach for her unaliving because he gave her all that money in a therapy session. And for a split second, Zach felt extremely guilty for her passing. So both brothers have accused the other one of their mother's death. And as we know, because we saw the video where Miss Gladys left them in the park, she's been on drugs for the majority of their lives. So Jeremiah is not responsible for Miss Gladys being on drugs. But at the end of the day, both of these brothers are grieving the loss of their mom, and they're coping in two different ways, and neither one is healthy. So they finally restrain him. They get him on his feet. Tony's going to take him home. Jeremiah's over there leaking on the ground. And Zach goes over and spits on him. Like, really? Now that was very disappointing to see. Two of the most disrespectful things you can do to someone is spit on them and put your feet on them. And Zach did both. I felt like that was totally uncalled for. So Connie and Nate, they're tending to Jeremiah and they're going to get him to the hospital. So we go over there to Angela's house. She's in there minding her own business, chilling. Here comes a knock on the door. It's Fatima. Angela really doesn't want to be bothered, but Fatima comes in with the key that she has. Fatima tells her she's there to apologize, and Angela basically tells her that she was right in what she said and she needed to hear it. Fatima tells her she's really not that bad. She kind of meant what she said, but she could have said it in a better way. She just wants Angela to find a good man that treats her good. And Angela questions, "You mean like you?" So Fatima gives her a look like, "What do you mean? Like Zach is a good man?" And Angela tells her, "Yeah, but you're working overtime to make sure he stays a good man." Now that is what needed to be heard. But of course, we don't want to talk about all of that. Fatima just wants her to accept her apology. So Angela, she accepts the apology. And Fatima tells her she just wants her to find one man that's going to treat her right, like she deserves to be treated. Now, Fatima has the right to want better for her friend. She wants her to settle down, find someone to love her. That's all cool. Angela has been bringing these randoms home. She's grown. She's single. She basically can do what she wants to do. But I feel like this conversation was oddly placed. Like, why are we talking about Angela and her randoms as if the randoms were the ones shooting at you guys over there at Belinda's house? We were talking about you and Zach and your drama. Yes, Angela needs to hear that, but was that the right time for that? But I guess this is just foreshadowing, because Angela probably will have a Danny Jonah moment later on in 3B, where she's probably going to bring the wrong one home and not be able to get rid of him and kick him out and talk to him like a dog the way she does some of the other ones. So they actually get back to the subject at hand, and Fatima admits that Zach does have a lot of issues. They talk about the whole Jeremiah situation and how every woman might want someone that's willing to do anything for them. And she says she doesn't feel good about Zach going after Jeremiah, like he's not letting it go. And Angela tells her if it was the other way around, she would act the same way. She says she has a little more rationale than Zach, and Angela gives her a look like, "Girl, please, I just saw you over there at Deja's house act a whole donkey up in there." So the two of them, they basically make up and tell each other that they love them. So Fatima thought that Angela took heed and sat home by herself for a change, but come to find out, Angela had somebody upstairs in her bed this whole entire time. So Fatima is shocked and tells Angela she was going to ask her to stay all night, but she doesn't want to stay there with a stranger. Angela says, I do it all the time. Fatima tells her that's the problem. You're going to get enough of that. Again, that could be foreshadowing. But nevertheless, Angela, she goes to put Big D out so Fatima can stay the night. Back over there at Zach and Fatima's, Deja is standing outside in the cold looking around when Zach and Tony pull up. So of course she had to give Zach the rundown of what happened and what Fatima did and how she's going to call the police. Zach really didn't give a damn. He told her, whatever you do, just do it on your side. So Tony and Zach, they get in the house and Tony tries to help Zach bandage his hand up. Zach has this attitude problem saying it's your fault, I have to do this anyway. And I'm like, well, how is it Tony's fault? And Tony, why are you even trying? Like, why are you continuously kissing his ass? But anyway, Tony wanted to know, did he feel better now? And he's like, what do you think? Still with an attitude. So Tony, he starts trying to talk to him and it's like talking to a brick wall. He's really not getting through because he's not being receptive. He's being very short, very curt. He really doesn't give a damn. But he tells Zach that this goes deeper than Jeremiah just hitting Fatima. It's more things than just that. And we heard that when he accused him of unaliving their mom. Tony asked him about Jeremiah and has he ever thought about how Jeremiah ended up that way? And Zach pretty much didn't care. He said he made his choices just like their mom did and he really doesn't have any sympathy for the BS. Now Zach is telling Tony he needs to get some rest, but Tony is asking 21 questions. He wants to know where Fatima is. Is he going to tell her about Deja calling the police? Zach is like, no, I don't care about the police. Fatima is mad. She's not going to answer the phone. This is what she does. And he ended up giving Tony permission to call Fatima since he wanted her to know so bad about the police. And again, Zach tells him he really needs to go and get some rest. Tony wants to know, are you really going to sleep after all of this that's happened? He says, yes, I'm going to sleep like a effing baby. So the two of them, they dap it up and they say they're locked in and it's like nothing ever happened. Now, I understand that Tony grew up with Zach and he knows his ways and all of that, but does he not deserve an apology? It just gives like a one-sided friendship. Tony is trying his hardest to remain friends, trying to be there for him, and Zach just basically gives him his ass to kiss. And now everything's supposed to be all good? No sir. At what point is he going to show this man some respect? So when Tony leaves, Deja's still outside on the phone with the police, allegedly, and she's asking him, is he leaving? He says, look, do I look like Nate to you? And she's like, look, slow down, chocolate. So she keeps trying to find out what happened to Zach's hand. And of course, Tony doesn't tell her. He tells her she's being too nosy. And she tells him, oh, you haven't seen Nosy yet. Wait till the police get here. I got another suspect, officer. So Tony, he walks off as she stands there on the phone like she's really waiting on the police. So he calls Fatima and tells her that Zach wanted him to call her. And I'm like, now you're lying because Zach didn't give a damn. So he tells Fatima that Deja is outside waiting on the police to come and arrest her. And Fatima was like, I wish she would, and I don't give a damn about her. And then it was the confusion of it all. Fatima asked where Zach was because when she came downstairs, he was gone. And I'm like, girl, you left before he did, so what are we talking about? So she's asking him where Zach went and was he looking for Jeremiah. And Tony's on the phone hemming and hawing as if he hasn't been going through this whole secrecy thing for days where it has caused this one big huge problem. So why not go ahead and tell her that Zach actually found Jeremiah and beat his behind? But you wanted her to know so bad that Deja was calling the police on her. Like, okay. So we go over there to the hospital with Nate and Connie, and she's asking him to look at her head. All of a sudden, she has braids falling out. She says she's not breaking up any more fights between Jeremiah and Zach. She broke a nail the last time. Now she has bald spots. They talk about Zach and how he blacked out on Jeremiah, and Nate says this is why he wanted to tell Zach in the first place. Connie says she doesn't know because Zach really snapped and she was even scared. Nate tried to reassure her that everything was going to work itself out, everything will be fine, but she's concerned that Jeremiah may not make it. So Nate just chalked it up as Jeremiah getting his ass beat, he'll be all right. And she's trying to tell him like, yeah, he was able to sustain those ass whoopings when he was younger, but now he's older. So Nate is saying that everybody's going to be fine. They are a family. They have each other. Some kind of way Connie brings up Fatima and how she holds Zach down, but I thought we were talking about Jeremiah. But of course, this gets a rise out of Nate because, he's like, what's up with Fatima? Like, who cares? So she's saying that if Zach loves her, then they gotta love her too. And he's like, oh, if you're gonna say that, then I guess you're right. So she tells him that he's the only one in the group that's still immature and what's up with him and Belinda. He tells her that he thought that they were dating. She says that Belinda's not the dating type. She only wants to hunch. And the question of the day is what everybody wants to know. What about Lori and your kids? He says, well, you knew that wasn't going to work out. But excuse me, sir. Even if you're not with Lori, you still left 2 kids behind. You don't even bring them up. How are you taking care of them? You're running around here couch surfing. You're on probation. It seems like you don't even have a job. Like, when are you going to get your act together? But anyway, he tells Connie that Lori is crazy. Connie tells him that maybe it's you that makes these women crazy. So now it's just bad luck and decision making. All of a sudden you hear cold blue emergency. The doctors are running. The nurses are running. They realize that it's Jeremiah's room. They're nervous. They're scared. They're wondering if he's going to make it. Connie's trying to calm Nate down. He's wanting to call Zach and she's trying to tell him not to. And they pretty much just have to comfort each other. So we go over there to Angela's house and she has invited Bryce over there, cooked breakfast for him and wanted his opinion on men when it comes to her. And he quickly confirmed what Fatima had told her the night before by running down a list of things like she's controlling, doesn't want to commit, doesn't want to be hurt, blah, blah, blah. So Fatima comes downstairs and she greets Bryce. And when she's getting ready to leave, he tells her that he knows what's going on and that he gave Preston Dr. Reed's number to call for Zach. And she asked him, did he call? And he said, I don't know if they spoke or not. So she leaves, and when she gets home, she's getting out the car, and Deja comes back outside, talking about, oh, you didn't come home last night out there running the streets. So she gets on the phone, and she calls herself trying to describe Fatima to the police. She's telling them her name is Fatima Wilson. She has on a little 2-piece gray suit and some busted shoes. So Fatima tries to help her out. She says 5'6" and tell him I got a big ass. And Deja was like, it's not even that big, officer, but pull up now, now. Fatima wasn't paying her no attention. She's screaming, you going to jail, B? She has been outside literally all night and the police have yet to show up. So Fatima, she gets in the house and she sees all the bloody bandages that Zach left on the table. So she calls Tony to ask him what happened. Did he go and find Jeremiah? And again, he's still hemming and hawing and won't tell her the damn truth. So she hung up in his face. So the next thing you know, Zach comes leaping down the stairs doing karate chops like a little kid, talking about I got the glow. So she says, Zach, what is this? And please tell me that this is not Jeremiah. Standing there looking at her like, I won't tell you then. And tells her what he doesn't want to hear. But he does tell her that he feels better and they're not going to talk about it. And wants to make sure that they don't have the conversation again. And Fatima tells him, whatever you say. Then there's a knock on the door. So Fatima yells, who is it? They say it's the police. She goes to the door. What do you want? Deja is standing behind the police, so we assume that they finally made it there to get her for vandalizing Deja's apartment. No, they say we're here for Zachary Taylor. So Fatima asks, what do you want with him? Zach steps in front of her like, I got this. What's up? You are under the arrest for the unaliving of Jeremiah Matthews. Now he can't believe it. He's like, oh my God, what the F? And that's where the episode ends. Woo, child. Just like Mr. Tyrone tried to tell Zach, you don't believe fat meat is greasy. So now you gotta learn. There are consequences to your actions. And just like you said that Jeremiah made choices, so did you. Everybody tried to talk to you, but you didn't want to listen. So it is what it is. But I do find it interesting that neither Connie or Nate called Zach or Fatima to let them know that he actually coded in the hospital. So that part doesn't make sense. I'm not sure what the mix-up will be, but I don't think he's actually gone. So drop down in the comments and let me know what you guys think about this mid-season finale. And do you think Jeremiah is actually unalive? And as always, you guys, thanks for the support. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.